Mr. B, tell us your
What's up,
point
bro?
of view on this.
Bro, I don't know. There's
I'm with you, man.
there's a lot going on, you know.
I thought I knew.
I don't think I'm going to. I don't know how long Ellie rehearsed that for, because that was pretty freaking good.
That was good.
It's just regurgitating scriptures, man.
Well, lucky you.
I
Now, let me-
regurgitate other stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
That whiskey's coming back up.
Someone was telling me everything I was saying right now. Like, don't forget this,
It's
don't
in his
forget
ear.
that. It's in my ear.
Ooh, lucky. That's why your mic was going out. You had interference.
Yeah, I'm like, pause.
Asher was like, Dad, stop.
Yeah.
You're saying the wrong stuff.
Yeah. She's under the table pulling on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll just start with just a couple quick verses.
I thought we were going to use the Bible. You wanted to just go.
Bro,
into
you
your-
said some
You
verses.
did.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Both did.
Hey, and just to do you a favor, Ellie, I'll just stick to Ephesians because you love Ephesians, right?
I love it.
Okay.
Best book in the
So,
Bible.
I dig it too. Okay, Ephesians 2 verses 7. To demonstrate in the coming ages the surpassing wealth of his grace in kindness towards us in Christ Jesus. For by grace you are saved through faith, and this is not for yourself. It is the gift of God. It is not for work. It is not from works, so that no one can boast. Then Ephesians 3, the next chapter, verse 10. The purpose of this enlightenment is that through the church, the multifaceted wisdom of God should now be disclosed to the rulers and the authorities in the heavenly realms. So the multifaceted wisdom of God is being disclosed to the rulers and authorities in the heavenly realms through the grace that Jesus brought to us. I think the overarching big picture of why everything is happening the way it's happening, why sin entered the world, why all of that had to happen was so that grace could enter reality, and through Jesus. I think the whole purpose is to manifest Jesus's grace, or God's grace through Jesus. That's why in Revelation you get the angels that are sitting around the throne. At first they're singing one song. They're worshiping God as creator. Okay. And then after the Lamb appears as slain, blah, 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 it says then they start singing a new song and they start worshiping God as savior. There was no salvation before the fall. There was no grace before the fall. However, there was a fall before our fall, right? We do believe Satan sinned, rebelled first before humanity did. What a coincidence that there's no grace or salvation for the fallen angelic. Only for the fallen humans. Only we get to experience grace and salvation and restitution. I think that is the purpose. I think the purpose of humans and the fall of humanity, sin, death, Christ coming, is for God to display his grace. And not just to us, but to the heavenly realms and the rulers in the heavenly realms. They're learning from us. We're examples to them of what God didn't do to the fallen deities or the fallen angels. And in so doing, God gets to display the fullness of his character and who he is and all of his attributes. That's my big picture of why things are the way they are and why they happened. I think that's why God created Adam and Eve. They were in a garden. Satan, guess what, was already in the garden. He was there before he sinned. And I don't know if you guys believe that. Do you believe that? Anybody? No? Can I read you?
Say that one more time. Satan
was
there.
in the garden before he sinned.
Yeah, absolutely.
You believe that?
I agree.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Lucifer arguably was in Eden, and he had a purpose in Eden before he sinned. So Adam and Eve in the garden, Lucifer's there, no sin yet. Something happens where Lucifer decides to rebel against God, to exalt himself to a higher position. God casts him down, probably banishes him from the mountain of God, and lets him be stuck in Eden, in this place where only humans are. So not only did he fail at ascending, he actually got demoted. a dimension. He got stuck in ours. Leads humanity astray. From that point on, sin enters the world. There's a huge demonic influence on the descendants of Adam all the way to the time of Noah, so much so that there's probably some sort of demonic commingling of DNA and of offspring of the woman. And I think that was done intentionally by Satan in order to try to disrupt the lineage that was to lead to Jesus. Because if you look at the Bible, from Adam to Noah to Abraham to Moses to Israel to everything, absolutely everything is a story of how Jesus comes into existence. That's it. That's what the Bible is. And it's the history of Israel because Jesus comes from Israel. That's why it doesn't touch on anything else. Nothing else matters. The purpose of the Bible is to lead to Jesus. So the earth was so bad at the time of Noah because of the work of Satan and his demonic beings that God comes down and is like, well, I got to start this over. This is out of hand now. Wipes everything off the face of the earth, starts over with Noah. The first thing people do after the great flood, once people start reproducing again, repopulating, they all gather together and start to build a city and a tower to reach the heavens again. So probably to try to reconnect with that demonic. And it's at that point that God says, okay, well, I'm going to scatter your tongues and I'm going to give you over to the gods, to the other. I'm going to give the nations over as an inheritance to the fallen sons of God. And from that point on, God chooses Israel, works through Israel, all to the point where Jesus is born. Once Jesus is born, Jesus now gives salvation through the new covenant, opens that up to the Gentiles. I do think, like Eli said earlier, that that God's work with Israel is on hold right now because they didn't pick the Messiah when he was here with them. I think they're currently in a time of judgment. And I think God is right now stealing from the fallen God's inheritance. I think he's taking people back from their inheritance. He's taking people back from the nations to himself. Once that number is fulfilled, I think that's when the end comes. And I think that things lead up to a point in this world where it gets so bad, so crazy, so evil. I think the demonic come back the same way that it was. Interestingly enough, it says it'll be like in the days of Noah. I don't think he's being hyperbolic. And interestingly enough, one of the only descriptions we have of the days of Noah is how crazy demonic the world was. So I think that's happening again right now. I think that's why you see all these glowing lights in the sky, all these formations, all these people talking about abductions and aliens and yada, yada, yada. I don't think it's things from a different planet. I think it's interdimensional satanic beings coming in and manifesting themselves yet again, which is what they did in the times of Noah. Let's get that straight. And I think it gets crazy again. I think it's going to get like the times of Noah again. We don't really know how bad it's going to get. I think it's going to get supernaturally evil here on earth physically, to the point where demons start manifesting, going to world leaders. Revelation talks about how there will be 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Interesting description, slimy, green, scaly, whatever people describe abductive captives like. And I think it says that they appear to the world leaders to lead them to war against the coming Christ, which is, Eli, part of what you were talking about. And that, I think, is what people call aliens. I think it's demonic. And I think it gets so crazy that Christ does come back and puts them in their place again, wipes things out again, like he did in Revelation. Okay. There are survivors. There is a resurrection. There might be a rapture. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on that one yet. And then Christ dwells here on earth, present after the apocalypse, after most people are wiped out. The survivors survive and repopulate. And what else? He's present for 1,000 years. 1,000 years, I don't believe, is a literal 1,000 years. I believe it's a figure of speech denoting a long period of time, where Jesus is present on earth and nations the nations abound again, people reproduce, it all starts over. And then after that long period of time, in that 1,000 years, Satan's bound, right? Because Jesus is here present. Or in that long period of time, Satan's bound. And then after a long period of time, Satan is unbound and released, and he freaking does it again. Okay. I think we're coming to the end of round 2 of God's annihilation of humanity and starting over, like he did with Noah. That was round 1. Now we're at the cusp of round 2, and then there's going to be a third. And at that point, Christ, who's on earth, says, "Are you kidding me? I'm here with you present on earth, and you still follow this guy." So he creates a new heaven, new earth, throws Satan into the lake of fire for eternity, never to be released again. And then there's a real cube that comes down from the heavens, 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles long. It's called God's house, and that's where he dwells. The nations come in, they eat of the tree of life, which is present again, just like it was in the Eden. I think the whole purpose is that God is going to reestablish his original creation order. And that's his intent. And from that point on, we will be with Christ on the new heaven, new earth, for eternity. And Satan doesn't exist anymore because he's in the lake of fire. And what a coincidence. Eden is restored. That's it. That's all I got.
You did all that in one breath.
Yeah, bro.
Very good.
That's
Thank you
all I
guys
got.
for sharing that. That's really good. I could definitely use a lot of this. I'm not going to go through mine because
Why? You got 5 minutes.
Because no, it's pretty much what you said, Ben, in a lot of ways. I don't know if I have any objections to what you said, really.
Oh yeah. Do you guys have questions?
Oh, a lot of
Shut up, Ellie.
questions.
You had your hand raised, actually.
I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at your screen.
No, as you shouldn't.
Go ahead and ask your question, Ellie.
Yeah, what you got, bro?
Well, no, I was just going to make a couple of comments to your additions, right? So there's a lot of assumptions made there, a lot of inferencing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with
Well, I
that.
didn't take the time to give you the Bible verses.
Well,
Not all of us have that
well,
luxury, okay?
You did allude to some Bible verses, right? You said
I know I did.
as in the time of Noah, which is
Sure.
referencing Matthew 24. But in that passage, it doesn't really get into the details you got into. It actually keeps it very simple. And the point of referencing Noah was not to say it's going to get all demonic again. That's not the point.
Oh.
Actually, it's actually saying it's going to be peace and safety, like in the times of Noah. So there is this contrast.
Does it say that in there?
It sure does. If you actually read it, in
ahead.
Luke chapter 17, in Luke 21, in Matthew 24, Mark 13, it actually talks about
read
how
it.
you want to
Peace,
read all
peace.
4.
No,
Which one you want to
Lots
read?
of peace.
Oh,
Yeah, just pick one.
yeah. Well, in Matthew 24, he actually doesn't bring it here. So let's go to Luke 17.
Oh, so it's not in Matthew 24. Okay.
No. Well, again, because
Let's scratch that one off the list.
No, because in Matthew 24, it brings up Noah's time period, and it's going to be like the days of Noah. And Luke 17 does the same thing.
So
when it talks
even
about,
if he talks about the day of Noah, says everybody will be given into marriage. They're going to be chilling, having fun, relaxing. There's no.
I didn't.
there's no
What translation is that?
Luke 17, NET.
Sounds like you guys are imposing some stuff just like
No.
I did. Oh,
No,
there's
actually,
just
read it.
there's no sense of worry or coming impending doom. They're just having fun.
read it.
right here. So here you go. Luke chapter 17.
I can pull it
says-
up. Where is
No,
it? Where are you?
Luke
reading?
17. You can read Luke 17.
Yeah. I'm
Is
bringing
there
it up now.
a specific verse or the whole chapter?
You can start in verse 22.
Perfect.
Okay. That's where I was just at. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. Who's reading it?
All
Ellie.
of us.
No, Ellie,
Yeah.
read it out loud.
Ellie, read it, buddy.
Oh, there you go. So then he said to his disciples, the days are coming when you will desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. Then people will say to you, look, there he is, or look, here he is. Do not go out or chase after them, for just like lightning flashes and lights up the sky from one side to another, so will the Son of Man be in his day. So I just want to make a point that this is actually talking about end of days, the whole end of humanity, not a specific period. He's not doing end times discussion for Jerusalem here.
You're adding.
No. It's actually the days are coming about. You will see the Son of Man. And notice what he says.
Yeah,
Don't
but
worry-
you're interpreting this through your eschatological perspective or whatever. you know, because I don't agree with what you're saying right now that this is end of days. Go on,
That's
just
fine.
keep reading it. Keep reading it.
So as he says, is the reason why you know that I'm not here or I'm not there, and they say, look, is because when I do come, everyone's gonna see it like lightning from east to the west. His coming will be so visible, everyone will see it. That's the
I believe
idea.
that.
So this is talking about his final descent on earth, right? East and west, everyone will see it. Verse
I don't believe
24. Well, it says that for just as lightning flashes and lights up the sky from one
Yeah,
side to
but
another,
this
so
doesn't
will
have to be. This doesn't have to be the final coming at the end of the millennium, which is what you're talking about.
No, yeah, no,
I
we'll
think
get.
this is.
Yeah,
I think this
I
is
got
at
you.
the. I think this is before. I
Sure,
think this is Armageddon.
sure,
know?
yeah, sure. I agree.
Same event. We're putting it at two different points.
Exactly. So then it goes on, but first he must suffer many things and be rejected by his generation. Notice, just as it was in the days of Noah, so too it will be in the days of Son of Man. People were eating. So he's talking about Noah. People were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were be given in marriage right up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, just as it was in the days of Lot, were eating and drinking, buying, selling, planting. But on that day, Lot went up and it was done. His point here is this: life, when my time comes, it's just going to be normal operations.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I agree with you. It's just interesting that he chose two people on which the world around him was destroyed, Lot and Noah, right?
Right. But notice this point though.
And I know. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
That's okay.
Just real quick. So it's just interesting. Those are the only two people. He could have picked anybody in the whole Bible. Those things have been happening anytime throughout human history. Those things have happened. People have eaten, people have drank, people have gotten married. So there must be something about the time of Noah and the time of Lot that is kind of important.
Yes. And notice the connection. They were all just going about their business, and then all of a sudden destruction came. And that's the correlation. There's no other time in human history where you're looking about everyone was marrying and people are just having a good old time. And then all of a sudden, boom, destruction came. It happened in Noah. I would say like
probably any war. Probably it was any time a village was conquered, anytime anybody else in the Bible.
You're not seeing a sudden destruction. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed in one day. It was destroyed by the fires from the heavens.
So was Jericho. So was, there's other examples. I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you. Yeah. I think it's very clear that it's talking about imminence there, right? And
not imminence. I don't want to get into
whatever. Okay. What's the word? That it's imminently, or I'm sorry, it's going to happen
like a thief in the night.
Yeah, it's going to happen suddenly, quickly.
So you don't believe. So you don't believe.
It,
so
but
you
I also
think
tribulation.
Then
we're jumping the gun here, bro.
No, you can't because you're connecting these events. You're connecting these events.
What events?
His coming. If you're saying that his coming is before the millennium, according to your eschatology, there's a tribulation period leading to the millennium. Right? That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay, but you just read an event where it says nothing's going to happen. It's going to be peace and safety at his coming.
Before his coming?
It's going to be peace and safety. But you said there has to be a tribulation period.
Where does it say peace and safety?
That's the idea of the text. Everyone's going to be doing their life.
Well, okay. Well, you guys are giving your ideas of the text. I'm giving my ideas of the text. We both read the text, and it talks about that something will come unexpectedly, right?
Yes.
So do you think that there's not going to be marriage or people eating and drinking during the tribulation? That's quite a leap, bro.
Okay.
So I think we're both trying to interpret this passage through our perspective.
Actually,
and that's the most fair and honest thing to say right now.
What we should do is take the Noahic passage that we just read and put it in its proper context, which is Matthew 24, because what we read in Luke 17 was a separation comment between God and his disciples, and it was just talking about his end of days. But when we get to Luke 21, which is exact conversation of Matthew 24 and Mark 13, it's talking about end of ages, the sign of his coming, and the end of the temple. So now he puts that same discourse he just talked about Noah in that context. So now we're going to read Matthew 24, and what you're going to read in Matthew 24 is two comings.